Josh, where's the campsite? It's coming up just ahead over there.
Are you scared of the dark?
Absolutely. Yeah. But I'm with my friends. I'm okay.
Are you? Field of Geeks presents
The Super Unknown.
Hey everyone, Josh here. This past weekend, Juan, my wife Stephanie, and I attended the Haunting of West End event. We had a lot of fun and got to interview several intriguing people that deal with the super unknown firsthand. A lot was discussed, so much so that our next 3 episodes, starting with this one, will be all about this experience. We recorded on site at the West End Salvage and Coffee Shop in downtown Des Moines, Iowa. Dave's company Nexus 6 sponsored the event, and we owe him a huge thanks for what you're about to hear. We first met with the members of groups SciPit and D-Part. They are paranormal investigators, and this is part 1. We hope you enjoy.
I'm Chris Hughes, the founder of SciPit, South Central Ohio Paranormal Investigative Team, and our website is www.scipit.com.
I'm Patrick. I am co-founder of SciPit.
I am Colin. I am lead investigator for SciPit.
And I'm Matthew Bennett, founder of Depart. We also have a podcast, Introspection, on Skydoor Network on Facebook. We have a whole bunch of different shows on there. We've got people from the Netherlands on there. We've got a whole wide range of stuff on the network. It's all positive, uplifting stuff. Come on over and check that out too. Ray Hughes, that's Chris's wife, okay. And then Carrie, which is his daughter and his wife.
My wife.
Did you guys go to the Van visitor site?
Yes.
Is that how was that? Because they did a podcast on
Our very first episode we talked about it.
It wasn't super in depth, I don't think necessarily, but I'm just wondering what you guys.
Well, Matt is on the board at the Visitor Center Festival.
Okay.
He's part of the park downstairs.
Okay.
It's interesting stories and everything. I've known Chad wrote the book and stuff about it, and they've done the documentary about it. It's been interesting to go out there to see where it all happened at, and when you walk into this one bank or realtor's area now, it's like walking into the old bank because the bank vault is nothing's changed inside. Outside's new. You walk in, it looks like this inside, and there's the vault.
Wow.
And supposedly the guy went out there, took a couple shots of this thing, and hid it in the vault. And the vault's original.
Oh.
And then you drive out a little ways out of town, and there's the old brick mine out there, and that's where these things supposedly came from.
Any feelings or anything when you were out there? Or
the brick mine would be awesome to investigate, but the owner won't let anybody out there.
Oh, I see.
There's too many people out there, I guess, on their own doing things.
Right, of course.
So you can see it, but you can't actually visit.
He has a gate down way down the end of the road, and he'll open it up for them to drive up there so you can see it.
Okay.
And he shuts it in after the visitor center.
It was a year they have a big
festival.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
The festival.
Yeah.
Okay.
Has he said anything about anything he hears or experiences being in that location?
Out there,
on that territory? I'm saying the man that opens and closes the gate, the one that owns that property.
I haven't really talked to him. I mean,
he pretty much just keeps himself.
Yeah, he keeps himself.
Interesting. Josh, I want everything. I want all the creepy stuff.
I know. I have to be like, no.
We're like yin and yang when it comes to this. Like, him not so much.
Josh's gonna pee himself later?
No, I'm not. I'm gonna go to the bathroom before.
Yes.
Shoot it.
Hug it.
Y'all really want to pee yourselves, go out to Wymore, Nebraska. We just went out there last Monday. And a week ago last Monday. And nonstop action from 15 minutes from when we got there till when we left.
Like a house, or where we at?
It's actually old main streets with the big, the buildings that have the businesses on the the ground floor with the apartments above it.
Yep.
That's exactly what it is.
Oh.
Wow.
Al Capone's been through there. The Dillinger gang's been through there. Active community ties to the KKK.
Oh, Jesus.
It's a pretty rough town as far as.
Okay.
Damn.
Yeah. And just nonstop activity out there.
Wow. That's crazy.
Shout out to Christy Williams, who owns the building.
Wow. And they were asking questions about Van Meter too. You know more about that than.
Yeah, because they did a little bit on one of their first episodes, right? About it, and so.
What do y'all know about the Visitor?
Oh, not too much. It was just
online research.
It was like our beginning, like our intro. Like we did some studying on it, but as for like
You just know of the sighting.
One of the earliest known recorded sightings of the Mothman here in the United States at 1903.
Okay.
And it even happened before the Point Pleasant attack. And it happened for an entire week. Terrorized. I mean, it wasn't just, your town drunks and, the old small towns, yeah, they're drunks and crazies. I don't mean to be mean or, on PC, but looking at it from that perspective of time, it wasn't just them, it was bankers. It was the town drunks. Everybody was seeing this thing. By the time it terrorized them for the weekend, they literally got all their weapons together, chased this thing out of town to the coal mines, shooting at it the whole way. Bullets were not affecting it whatsoever. Then once they cornered out in the old mines, it took off and then returned with a second creature half of its size. Right. So that's another unique thing about our sighting here in Iowa, is that it's also one of the only sightings where two creatures have been spotted at the same location, same time.
So wait, this has been spotted elsewhere. It wasn't just here.
Well,
there are different theories about that. Some people think that our encounter here in Iowa wasn't necessarily maybe a Mothman, but maybe because there are some people that say it kind of looked more dinosaur-esque.
Yeah,
like
the wings. And
Yeah.
Yep.
But you know how firsthand, if you sit down and play a game of telephone, you're not going to get the same thing when you.
Where's the Mothman supposedly sighted now, or is it not?
Actually, it's interesting that you asked that question. Just here in 2017, there were over 87 reports of the Mothman spotted in Chicago, of all places.
So it's pretty much traveling, if it's the same
In the city, or
in the city, yes, in the urban city.
That's insane.
87 reports in 2017. Look it up. It's on the internet. And we all know whatever's on the internet's true.
Of course.
But seriously, they did have a record number of reports of the Mothman, or something Mothman-esque in the city over.
Is there still sightings in the other parts? Like, is it possible there's many, or is this maybe just
my
one?
personal take on it, and this is just my personal views and theories, is I think it's an interdimensional being of some type. That would explain the omnipotence that it has, because we all know about the Point Pleasant attack and how, it seemed to predict stuff that was going to happen. How it can be multiple places at once, how it interacts, how it moves. It just kind of makes sense that the dimensional being theory kind of fits.
Wow.
So if that's the case, then if it's got access to different dimensions, and that means it's got access to time and space itself. And so that is omnipotence.
Wow.
Really. That's why when a lot of our spirit interactions that we have, we'll get, like, we had a case down in Southwest Iowa, one of our first house cases or private cases, and on EVP we have it answering our questions for us. It was we had to do what's called a binding there to bind the spirit. During the binding, you use the name of the entity that you're trying to bind. And as I was calling his name out, I heard back on our recorder my name and my voice.
Wow.
So, I mean, if you really stop and think about it, their spirit is everywhere all the time, and so they're not constricted by time and space like we are. They don't see time linear like we do.
Wow.
It's this moment is both past, present, future, and all in one.
Do you think it's like the next stage after death?
See, it's kind of funny that we're getting down this track, because we were just talking about this on the way over here about how, there's a quantum. There's a change happening on a quantum level in this universe, and that is going to. Again, these are just theories and thoughts, and things that I go through on my mind in meditations. It's me and some other colleagues that I keep in a regular touch with on a regular basis think that the dimension is going to shift. We're going to get one or two more dimensions added to this one. So in essence, while the veil is actually thinning in some with this communication we're getting, and actually disappearing, because there's another veil about ready to be cast again, because once those dimensions are added, people that are enlightened and know and can and have open minds and can think outside the box, they're the ones that are going to be able to exist in that new reality.
Wow.
And people that aren't, they're just going to kind of get shut off by that veil, another barrier, so to speak, kind of like the one we have now between us and whatever we're communicating with on the other side when we do this.
Wow. That's so fascinating. What's your origin tale, if you will? Like, how'd you all come to get into this type of profession, this field, if you will? You remind me of Ray Stantz, the way you talk. I like it.
He was actually one of my heroes.
Oh, sweet. Well, you're representing well. It's like I got Dan Aykroyd here with me. It's great.
my whole thing was there was a house in Monroe, Iowa that a friend owned, and we were over there for a Halloween party. And he wanted to stay the night. I knew it was haunted. It's been on Channel 13 News and everything. And we just couldn't do it because we had to go back to work next day. His son and I both left. He had a flat tire on the way home, and my car went in the ditch like it hit a patch of ice, and there was no ice anywhere. Then he died a few years later, and his wife always said that he was there to watch over the house and play tricks on people. Like a guy would come to work on a furnace, his tools would end up missing back out of his car when he left them down in the basement. Things like that.
Wow.
And he kind of died tragically because a Jeep fell on him out in the garage when nobody was around. That got me into wondering because I knew him really closely. I never got to go back to that house to see if he's there, but that got me into the field.
When I was a kid, I was in my room by myself, and I would look around this corner, and I would just hear this laughter, like a skull laughing. It happened for 3 or 4 days straight. Didn't stop. I was like, I'm a little kid. Well, it's just my imagination. Then I started seeing documentaries about ghost hunting and a presidential ghost hunting from Abraham Lincoln. He used to see stuff in the middle of the night, and all this time I was like, I'm losing my mind. Then all of a sudden me and him started working together, and we started talking about ghost hunting. And then eventually he was like, let's go to a cemetery and see what we could do. And then we all of a sudden I got in that cemetery, something was whispered to me, and Chris and his wife was way off on the other side of the cemetery. It's like, what the heck?
Wow.
And we started this team.
I didn't really get too much into it until I met the founder's daughter. You know, we got married. I can't say I've always had a knack for paranormal because I wasn't always closed-minded, but I wasn't always open-minded. It was kind of one of those things, like, on the brink type deals. And, you know, because I was at my mom's, and then next thing I know, there's a pop bottle just go flying across the room. So I got up and went, because it came from the kitchen. It was the kitchen to the living room. I got up and went in there and looked, and there was no one in there. I was like, okay, when? No. I was trying to think in my head, because I like to think. That's what I do. I was like, okay, so it wasn't the wind, so how did you go from there to there? Mm-hmm. And then fast forward to 2017 is when late 2017, early 2018 is when I officially kind of joined the team, starting out, and then between then and now we've went on, I can't even count how many. We've been to several events and several investigations.
They all kind of blur together after a while.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
I think my favorite investigation that we did was where I got pretty much my first kind of knack for the field, and that was at the school. Not Manila, the other one.
Oh, Farrar?
Farrar, yes.
Oh, okay.
Farrar School. And we were down in the boiler room, and I had a device that lights up when there's energy signatures and stuff. And I was sitting there in a chair, and there was other people, and then all of a sudden the lights just start going haywire. Everybody looks, they walk towards it to see what's going on, and it just disappears. So then I went into a room by myself, and it lights up again, and then of course everybody looks, wanting to see what's going on, so they walk towards that door, and it's just gone. And I was like, so you guys just need to stay back? Let me be here by myself for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Try to communicate here.
Sure.
But you know, I loved every second of every investigation we've been on. You know, we've been to many places. You know, we've hosted a couple events, I do believe. It's an interesting thing.
Once you get into it, and once it gets into your blood, you know, it becomes, it's kind of like a calling, you know.
Sure.
My history with it, as a kid, I wasn't your average kid. I was really into the Ghostbuster movies, and raised in a strict Christian household. You know, ghosts didn't exist. When you died, that was it. You either went to heaven or hell, and that was the end of it. So as a kid growing up, I was stifled, not being able to explore this avenue. But we all walk a path for a reason.
Sure.
And having thoughts of what it would be like to be in 6 feet under in a coffin with the nothingness, just the empty nothingness scared the crap out of me. And I think that's where my deep-seated, calling for this comes from, knowing that there isn't nothingness after we die on this earth. It's just another transition. It's just another step. you know, and just, you know, it's been a crazy road. The last almost 9 years have been, yeah, like I said, it becomes a blur. You know, there's specific things that stick out to you in certain places. It's definitely a wild ride, and it's not for everybody. If you can find your niche in it and use it for a tool for good, you know, to make this universe a better place, then by all means, let's do it. So, and basically that's what it comes down to, is just helping people, because that's what we started as, you know, doing personal residences, you know, people that, you know, are suffering in silence. You know, that's one of the big things that I wanted to do when I got into this field is really kill that stigma of, you know, I think I may be having experiences in my house, but I don't want people to think I'm crazy or nuts.
Sure.
Or, you know, start heavily medicating me because they think I'm hearing voices and seeing
Hearing
stuff.
voices and it's, yeah.
You know, I got to wonder how many cases of schizophrenia out there are, you know, a spirit guide trying to get a hold of someone, or they're actually, if it is a mental illness, you know.
Sure.
But that's a whole other show.
Yeah.
You know, but
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
no, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say with that, do you guys believe in God? Do you not?
It ranges from each individual team and each individual investigator. Me personally, I'm more spiritual than I am religious.
Sure.
I'm more eclectic, more omnism. Anything that makes sense, I just kind of.
It's industrial Velcro from my company.
Well, now, so I was reading on one of the websites, I'm not sure which one, that there's been demonic activity where you've been, and that somebody does like a blessing over the place now.
Yeah,
Now,
we
so
do.
does that lead into more of a Christian faith, or is that just something that you have to do to keep you and your team safe?
Oh, we do that both to keep our team safe. Plus, we work with other teams and other people. Some are pagans, some are witches, all other faiths. And we all together, we're part of Dominion Ministries, which is a nationwide, like, religious groups, but they're different groups. So if we have something in Canada or somewhere, we could look up our team and say, hey, you got something in this town, can you take care of it? Bishop James Long is part of the team we have too, he's been on Ghost Adventures from Kentucky area. We have shamans. We work with one out of Illinois. And if we have trouble with their religion, we always ask them what their religion is, or what their faith is. And we try to find that way of taking care of the problem that's there in their way, unless they were okay with the Christian religion. But we do blessings, we use sage, we use a little bit of everything to bless a house.
And you have to understand too that the chances of running into something truly demonic is slim to none. I mean, it's very rare. More oftentimes than not, it's going to be an interdimensional being, an IDB, or it's going to, you know, be something along those lines. Because, you know, even a human spirit, if you were a butthole in life, you know, guess what? You're going to be a butthole in death too.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just, people get confused when they experience something negative, they automatically jump to the demon word, and it's just it's a rarity. It does happen, but it's a rarity.
Do you ever run into like entities, or we'll just say energies, that may be like just trapped, like they're just stuck? So you know what I'm saying? Like they're like, why are you in my house?
You guys were there for that one. Boone comes to mind.
Yeah.
That's what.
So like basically you're in my house.
Yeah.
They're not understanding. Basically, you know, like the Sixth Sense, like they don't know they're dead. They're not aware that they've.
This one we've had situations like that where they're still in their death state and they don't know that they're dead, and
Bruce
and
Willis?
they're confused. Yeah, kind of Bruce, yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
We've also had entities that were, you know, trapped for whatever reason or another. Doing this line of work, there's never ever a dull moment. As far as, yeah, there are going to be dull moments when you're sitting in the dark and you ain't getting nothing, but the roller coaster that is, you get very small, tiny plateaus of where you're not. You know, I don't even look at, for example, like coincidences. Y'all heard coincidences. In the way I look at things, there are no such thing as coincidences. It's only synchronicities. Everything happened. Yes, we have free choice, and there's that line between, you know, where do we have free choice and where does fate drop in? But, you know, it's a huge philosophical discussion.
What are a lot
Yeah.
of misconceptions with what you guys do? You find maybe like from entertainment, let's say, or just anybody in general. Like
That there's always
Well,
action
yeah.
going on. That there's that you're going to go into a location and always experience something. I think
Right.
that's the number one misconception.
Well, and TV makes it look so easy too.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
you go in, they instantly tell you, okay, this is what you have in the house. Every investigation we have umpteen hours of recordings, umpteen hours of video, and everything to go through before we actually say, hey, there's something here.
Talking to the client.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And talking to the clients.
it's like a private meeting before
Yeah.
you actually come to the property.
Exira was a 9-month case for us.
Wow.
Yeah.
Before,
was it?
It was the town that we did here in Iowa.
Oh, okay.
We've had cases that last 9 months to 2 years. It just depends, and it's all about the aftercare.
Right.
You got to make sure that after you've gotten everything handled, it's all about really teaching them how to coexist. If it's nothing harmful or you're just going to hurt them, it's really at that point about education and teaching them. That. Yes, you're here now, and that you're your space, but it was their space too, and just to kind of coexist.
Well, there is no ghost hunting professional. Professionals can promise something that's going to happen. It's done. We can't do that because we go in, nothing could happen. I mean, we go in there sometimes and we get nothing. But next time we get phone calls and hey, you stir up something. It's like we did. It's like we didn't get anything there.
But is there like a lot of false?
Well, so there's some teams that will have you pay. You have to pay them to come in. We can't do that because you pay money for a professional to do something. We can't give you results. We could tell you that hey, something happened. Here's what happened, or we could tell you that nothing happened. Would you want to pay you a professional something for nothing?
It just adds a predatory aspect to it.
Yeah.
Or like I want my money
Are
back.
you guys all on? Is it SciPit? Is that how you say it? Or you're D-Part?
I'm D-Part.
Okay.
They're SciPit.
Yeah.
Okay, and neither one of your groups,
We're close together. No, neither one of us
you don't
charge.
charge.
No. We refuse to charge. All of our costs comes out of our pockets.
We do have some clients out there that have been nice enough to donate over the years.
Yeah.
But we never ask for donations. If they would like to offer up something for our services, then that's
we
cool.
get sponsors and stuff like that.
Right, but that's something else completely different though. That's sponsorship. That's corporate. That's more of a business. That's in my eyes. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Oh, no, yeah. And I think if somebody wants to donate, that's good because, you still take your time. You're using your free time to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Or,
And what is that old
Not
adage?
necessarily free time, but-
Time is money.
right. So I think that's great that you don't charge, but I also don't think that, in my opinion, I would pay somebody to come because I'm paying for your time, not necessarily for the outcome.
It's also nice that you don't charge because it basically is like you're not really full of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
It's not like a carnival barker or whatever. You coming into town and yeah, you got a spirit. That'll be $50 or whatever. But I think it does help with clientele. I mean, you guys would know better than I would, but I bet you get more people interested in like having you come out because a lot of them probably can't afford to.
Yeah.
That's another misconception, or not necessarily a misconception, but something that people may not realize that want to maybe get into this is that we're just a little bit of everything. We're investigators. We're psychologists. You have to be able to read a client when you're talking to them to know if it's if there are drugs involved perhaps, or if they've got a history of anything. You have to look at everything, the whole scope.
Sure.
So we're actually kind of jacks of all trades, really, when it comes down to it, because you never know what you're going to walk into when you're going into a private residence case. We've pretty much run the gamut as far as from not so good locations and dangerous locations, but that we didn't realize that we were walking into at the time because they weren't completely upfront and honest with us.
Right.
So
is that why you go out of your way to like meet with them before
Yes.
and make sure like is this legit, all this stuff? I mean, I guess there's physical dangers, but what other dangers comes with what you guys do?
One of the physical dangers, for example, one of our cases that we did, it turned out that the gentleman was a federal parolee that I found out from his neighbor. It was a duplex that we were doing that had AK-47s in his closet with sawed-off with filed-off serial
my.
numbers. There's only one thing you do with a weapon with filed-off serial numbers, so it runs the gambit. I mean, when you really have to understand that when you're going out and doing these public places like Ashmore, Farrar, the Manila Schoolhouse, which we had the honor to operate for a year and a half in Manila, Iowa. It's no longer in operation now, but those type of things are different than when you're going into somebody's home and you're taking, in essence, responsibility for because when they're calling you, they have no one else literally to turn to because they don't feel like they can tell anybody else about it because they're going to be judged and all that fun stuff. So it really is just separate beasts.
Sure.
Going in and doing a public place like this as opposed to doing the private cases, there really is two sides to that coin.
What should we expect from tonight? There's stuff everywhere here, and I don't know what the other floors are. But what are like your safety concerns, things like that, with this kind of building versus a home or just an empty space?
We worked buildings that had been under construction. They had boards on the floor with nails sticking out of them and everything. We have to watch our surroundings and make sure everybody with us is staying safe, and we keep them like in a main area. Like this is such a big building with clutter everywhere, but you have your main floors that have the walkways. So we're trying to keep everybody in those walkway areas so then they're not falling over something, tripping over something, or hurting themselves.
Okay.
Is what it is. Just watch our surroundings and our surroundings at all times.
What are the creepiest encounters you've had? Maybe they all merge together, but anything that sticks out?
A boom
Someone's
sound.
got an idea.
Yeah.
I have too many ideas.
Our number one we've been doing this for 10 years. Our first call was a guy that was having chest pains on Highway 92 in Iowa here. And his wife was a Methodist minister. She didn't know what to think of it, so she came to us. We went out with her to the road with him. We got out, was looking at the area, just on the side of the road. He was feeling pains then, so he wanted down the road, come back and parked. He got out with us, and something pulled him over the guardrail. He had 3 big scratches on his back, and that was our first case out of the box. So that was one of our eviler cases we had. We got him to the Catholic priest. It was raining, so he blessed him in the rain, and he's been doing okay, but he was sensitive. He didn't know he was sensitive, so he was being attacked by the spirits around there. And the other one, we had keys for a place that was haunted, they said. And we had the keys for about a month or 2 months, and we were just there investigating, trying to find out. It got to know each of our weaknesses and use it against us. One of our friends from another team, he came in, he almost put his fist through the glass table. I had to make him leave the building, and then he was fine after that.
What?
And then when we asked about blessing the place, the owner didn't want to have it blessed.
Really?
Yep, he wanted to leave it as is. And right now, as far as I know, it's been sold and somebody lives there.
Wow.
They probably don't know anything
They don't
about
know
it.
that, right?
So is that like a case, do you think that the new owner maybe isn't experiencing anything then?
Might not, or if it does, they will probably think they're crazy, because most people that call us, they think they're crazy, or people will think they're crazy if they say anything about something.
Well, that's how I would feel. I'd be like,
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm just crazy, but
Yeah, their claims before when we went in saying it was haunted, that the lights would flicker or the lights would go on in the middle of the night and nobody was around. Just different claims like that. But we did find out that there was somebody that committed suicide in the building, and about 9 o'clock at night on our recorders and with our ears, we could hear the gunshot with a shotgun.
what?
I went and got the death record, and it matches the time that we hear the gunshot.
So what would you say to somebody that, okay, so like our house, our lights flicker all the time. How do you know if it's just electrical or if there's, like sometimes we'll be like, it's just the ghost to our kids, you know? And then it'll flicker again. So we're like, how do you know?
See, our EMF detectors we have, or electromagnetic fields, they can check for bad wiring and things like that too, so we can check
Oh.
that. You can get them, or electrician would probably bring one too and
Yep.
check it.
Okay.
And they can tell you if your wires need to be updated, or maybe it could be a fuse box. This is the case we had just a couple weekends ago. The fuse box, the fuses were too low for the ampage of the house and the garage. So when they run something in the garage, the TV would go fuzzy and everything.
Okay.
So,
I'm sure that's all ours is.
but the wiring is
Probably
just
crazy.
perfect inside the house because it's done within the last 3 years. But it's just
Wow, just
not
low
enough wire.
amp.
Yeah, no ampage.
I would have to say my personal, the one that stands out most in my mind is a case we worked for 2 years right here in town, actually, not more than 2 blocks away from my house, actually, right in my own backyard,
Really?
literally almost right in my backyard. And yeah, that we had to work that sucker for 2 years, and over that time, we had to go back multiple times. One of the times we came back, and one of the EVPs we captured as I was walking in the door, it said, "Hello, Matt," right on the EVP. Actually, Alan could hear it with his own ears, and he's like, "I hope I captured that on audio." And sure as hell, he captured it on audio. Greet me as I walked in. Now, this is the most nerve-wracking one was when we were down in the basement. Not the basement, I'm sorry. I think of it as the basement because it's on the ground floor, but the garage, because you know how the old attached garages are on the old houses from the 60s? That's kind of how this house is.
Oh.
And so we were down in the garage. Well, at the time, her mom had just passed, and her mom's dying words to her were, "Hun, I'm sorry, but I can't hold this thing back anymore," were her dying words.
Oh, wow.
And then we had to come back in a year later, well, about 6 months to a year later after her mom passed, because the activity just, it spiked up. You could tell her mom was doing something, whatever it was, to deal with whatever this was. But when we were down in the garage, you could literally, the boxes of storage and stuff, you could literally hear this thing crawling around on the cardboard boxes. You could hear its movement moving around you and circling you.
Wow.
It's making the hairs on my arm stand up, just giving me goosebumps just as I'm
Wow.
describing it. Yeah, it's one of what we like to call a nail your foot to the floor moment, where you got to nail your feet to the floor so you're not Scooby-Dooing out of there.
No,
Right.
So yeah, no, it's like I said, when stuff happens, there's never a dull moment.
Wow, and you just have the courage to stay there, and
You got to think of the people that you're there trying to help.
that's good. Yeah.
You know, it's. I've often thought of it, and I've never really vocalized this, but I've often thought of it as kind of military-esque. You know how the military goes out and puts their life on the line for. It's kind of the same thing, only on more of a spiritual level. So, you know, we're out there trying to make sure that people are safe and can have a safe space to call.
Sure.
home. By the way, this is Ray and Carrie with Siphon as well.
As far as
Good.
weird experiences go, between all the stuff that happened at Boone and Farrar and
The school.
even Manila by that chance, I think most recent was our little trip to Buxton when we were all out there.
Yeah.
I was sitting on grass, just meditating, and all of a sudden I started getting words in my head. Later on, we were doing a session. What was it, EVP session?
I think it was probably, knowing me, it was probably necrophonics.
Yeah, on your app. And I was just throwing these words out there, and there was responses almost 5 to 10 seconds later. I was like, there's so much that goes on out there that not a lot of people are aware of, and with the fact that we're out there every once in a while, we try to get out there as much as possible. It surprised me about every time we've been there, and I've been there probably about 2 or 3 times now.
Did
So
you tell them about Buxton?
No.
no, we haven't talked.
Buxton is an old ghost town over by Bussey, Iowa. It was a coal mining town. And we go out there quite often. Been going out there for 9 years. It's a pretty nice place, but it's all outside. There's only a few buildings,
that are
or
standing.
one building standing, or 2 buildings standing.
If you can call it standing.
Yeah, barely standing over the years. And then a couple foundations. And we've been going out there. It's all open outside, so you get the nature and everything all in one.
No electricity, no running
Yeah.
water, no nothing.
There's
and
also
the
no light
meters
pollution
will
out there
go
too,
off
so it's
the
really good
charts.
for sky gazing.
Yeah, watching.
It really does encompass every single aspect of the paranormal. Because you could have a cryptid wander through your camp. In theory, you could see a UFO out there with no light pollution, and of course the spirit side of things too. So.
First time we went out, one of the investigators that went with us saw about a 6 foot tall African American gentleman in bib overalls go walking through the wall of the old warehouse. And turns out that his uncle has seen it, and other family members have seen this gentleman out there. We've got about a 9-year-old little boy that follows us around, and the Historical Society gave us the name Loris Risby. And we've been able to confirm using our K2 meters, make it blink once for yes, twice for no, just stuff like that, that he's lonely. He just misses having people around. We took her and our youngest daughter out there when they were younger, and he was answering their questions left and right. And so we get a lot of activity out there. It is a fun place to go.
I have a quick question. So, do you find that first thing is, do you guys mostly base yourself in like Iowa and the Midwest? And then the next question is, do you find that there's more activity here in Iowa or the Midwest overall compared to other places? I don't know how far you guys travel, but are you saying, like, is there more paranormal activity in the state of Iowa than maybe? I don't know if you do New York or whatever. I'm just saying, like, I'm just trying to get an idea.
Well, yeah, well, you stop and think about, spirit is everywhere all the time, It just depends on, the conditions of it, the energy, the energy of the people there, how in tune they are to the spirit side of things. It's just so many variables.
Okay.
So I wouldn't say I was any more or less haunted than any other place. I would say maybe it's maybe active for different reasons. It seems like the southwestern part of the state doesn't want to let the history of what's happened there go.
Iowa, I think, is kind of an untapped resource for paranormal activity. There's so much out there, but there's so much that's yet to be learned because so many people are drawn to your Civil War sites, your big historical sites all around the U.S. And they forget about, Iowa and small communities and stuff and how much paranormal can actually be going on in these communities. So I know Matt does too. We're all, we're from Iowa, south central Iowa, but we go to surrounding states too, when we're able to and when we can travel. And we also network with a lot of teams all over, so we usually can find somebody to help. If we've gotten calls from California, from Connecticut before in the middle of the night, and have reached out to other teams to go and help these people, so.
That's nice. That's very good.
Well, we're all about trying to be para-unity, working together as teams, because people out there, their kids are afraid of the dark, or people are afraid of what goes bump in the night. Somebody's got to be willing to go in and believe what they say, take them for the honest truth, and try to help them and help figure out what's going on. Let's help make little Johnny or little Susie feel safe at night. There's no reason for them to be afraid of the dark.
Sure.
It might be a guardian angel, or it could be something else, so let's take care of it. And then when we all work together as teams, whether it be in Iowa or other states and stuff,
sure.
Then we can help more people. And, that's what we're all about, is helping.
Absolutely.
But when you think about Iowa, the first thing comes about is Villisca Axe Murder House.
Yep.
That's all the people really say. You say, what's the haunted place in Iowa? Villisca.
Yeah.
And there's other places around. You just have to find these little gems and.
Well, given that we're in the Des Moines area, is there anything comes to mind around here?
Ferrara's 15 minutes away.
Yep.
That's a schoolhouse, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We investigated Hoyt Sherman Theater, the only team that gets to
I
go in
saw
there.
that on the website. That looked,
It was an interesting night.
It was
very interesting.
One shot deal, one time to get to do, and one of their own employees answered questions for us and didn't know how she had went from her desk across the room and sat down and proceeded to answer questions for the next hour. And she's like, how'd I get over here? And we're like, because you said, I got to get up, I got to go now, I got to get up. She's like, no, I didn't. 12 to 15 of their staff members were with us and witnessed this all going on.
Oh, wow.
She works at that desk every day. She
So it's
did
like
not feel
a
well
possession
afterwards.
type of thing?
Kind of,
Anyway.
it used her, channeled through her to answer our questions. Didn't necessarily possess her, but channeled.
Yeah.
Channeling.
And we got horses
we get
neighing
to
in
that
Hoyt Sherman's
aspect, you get
bedroom.
more,
We got
like,
babies
empath
crying.
Because their stable
in
used to be
there.
off to the side of the bedroom, and it's not there anymore, but you would hear them. I mean, it's pretty.
On your devices,
On
right?
device, on recorders, we got EVPs on.
Not on site. Is it once you get back and
Yeah,
start
listen to the
listening? That's
recordings,
when
yep,
you hear,
yep.
or if you go outside or whatever. Do you guys ever hear on site?
Sometimes we do, sometimes we
At
don't.
Wymore, we heard 3 disembodied voices that night in Nebraska.
What does that mean?
Where you actually hear a voice coming from a source that you can't see.
Oh.
It's a voice that you just heard,
Yeah.
but nobody else in the room
Yeah,
opened
yeah.
their mouth.
Wow.
Is that where you're like, hey, did you just hear that? kind
Yeah,
of
did you?
thing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
The
Yep.
school, remember the door that slammed at the school?
Yep.
We're going down the hallway, and all of a sudden we heard a big old loud slam, and we turn around, it's like it come from down there, and it had been like that janitor's closet door had slammed there, and it's like nobody was back there.
We were right in front of the door when it happened.
Yeah.
I've also had colleagues on Venture Paranormal when they've gone to Poasttown Elementary in Ohio, where they yell out for help, but nobody can hear them.
Oh.
Oh, they kind of put
It's
like
where
a sound.
it's like a sound
Yeah.
barrier,
Yeah.
for the lack of a better word. Chad came back and talked to Michelle. He's like, "Didn't you just hear me screaming my head off for help?
Yeah.
I was getting chased down by a shadow figure. I was screaming for help." No, we didn't. We didn't hear you. They were less than 100 feet away.
Are you guys ever chased by anything?
I chase things away.
Yeah, there you go.
I walk
I was
in the room
pushed
and
in the
it
schoolhouse once, the Manila
Yeah.
schoolhouse.
You were pushed.
That was
Physically
doing
pushed
blessing.
in front of him, actually.
We were doing a blessing because the upstairs was just darker than dark.
We had some things going on at the school
Yeah.
that needed to be rectified.
Sure.
And the spirits were kind of all out of whack. And
Yeah.
and I was one of the perpetrators of that and didn't realize it at the time that I was doing more harm than good.
Oh.
And so I think they were trying to send a little bit of a message. I wasn't hurt, but I did go. I did slide for a good 5 or 6 feet, and I could firmly feel 2 hands and on each shoulder blade as it shoved me down.
Was it like a cold feeling too?
Didn't have any cold feeling. I just one second I was standing up, and the next minute I was on my belly sliding down the hall.
Now, is that something like when you walk into a space, you physically feel if there's a presence there, or is that just something that you get
Now
from
you're
your
getting more on the
devices?
empath.
Empath, medium side of stuff. Yeah.
Okay. See, I don't know the difference between a lot of that, so sorry.
Do you guys? Are you guys in contact with people who do that?
I'm actually an empath myself.
Oh, okay.
So you can feel different things. Then. Is that what
I
that
can pick up
means?
on feelings. I'm really good at. People call me a human lie detector. I know when someone's
So you
misgiving
can
me
tell good people
misinformation.
from bad people, kind of.
Normally, sometimes I'm not
Get that
100% by any means, but I've gotten burned many times. But it's just we're human. We make mistakes. But yeah, no, it's picking up on a lot. Most people are even just a basic low-level empath. If you've ever walked into a room after somebody's been arguing, like a really bad heated argument, you can feel that tension in the room, that heaviness. That's
Like it's almost something like evil causing people to argue, if you will.
it's the
Or just the energy people give off.
yeah. We imprint energy.
Right.
We leave an imprinted energy on our environment. So you pick up on somebody's sadness. It's sad, or you walk into a room where they've argued. You pick up on that hostility, and you can just kind of feel it or cut it with a knife. That's what it's like to be an empath.
Okay, so for those of us that don't know, is there a specific what's the definition of an empath, or I believe you said a medium?
Medium is someone that can actually communicate with the other side, has that spirit communication of some way, shape, or form. Whether they
Clairvoyancy.
see him, some can see him, some can hear him, some have the triple threat going on. It is every person's different.
Okay. And then
An empath is more so of feeling emotions and
Yep.
okay.
being able to look at someone and be like, okay, you're a good person. And just naturally kind of know who you're dealing with, who you're looking at. Like he was saying, if you're in a room right after a fight, then, you walk in and go, it feels tense in here. Well, that's being empath.
Okay.
Everybody has a little bit in them, even if it's not more extended. You still feel, okay, I know you're sad, let me hug you. And that's
You think these spirits that haunt things possibly are maybe a victim of that? As let's say they passed in the house or whatever, and it was very negative energy at the time. Do you think that has something to do with them sticking around?
we have had investigations where, say, there was a rape and the person that's there was a victim of that, and so it's a negative energy, but it's because they are stuck there because of what had happened and the trauma and what had happened. Kind of to go along with that, we had a investigation in Knoxville, Iowa, and there was a residual. The story was someone hung themselves in the basement, shot themselves in the living room. And it was about 9 o'clock every single night, and we heard a gunshot with your ears at 9 o'clock. If you didn't hear it with your ears, you'd hear it on the recording. And that was the time the guy had shot himself in the living room.
So there's 2 different events happen, like somebody hung themselves and then somebody else shot themselves? Is that what you said?
It was 2 different people. I don't
Oh.
know if it was at the same time.
And that was the same place
the
I was
same
talking about
building?
It was
earlier.
the same place, yes.
But we could get the death records off the one, but the second one we couldn't get anything out of, so we don't know if it actually happened or not.
But
Or
that
was
was
this
the
hearsay?
story you were
That was
told
the story
about
we
it,
told,
right?
yes.
Okay.
And sometimes the spirits it's like a happy place for them. Like it might have been, if it was a child, it might be their childhood memories that they stuck in the house. So that's why they want to be there.
Right.
That's where their happiest memories were, is there at home. Or different places like that.
Going off of the clairvoyancy and empath stuff, there's different gifts and stuff that go along with it. Being empaths, me and her are both empaths as well, and I've also tapped into my clairaudiency so I can hear a little bit more outside than most people. And then one of my other side gifts is I know that spirits, you know, they'll enter dreams and they'll give you messages and stuff. So I'll get like these messages, and which I defined as premonitions, because there was a while back when Matt was helping Manila School, and we were getting ready for an event that was about to happen, like about a week or so later.
You talking about the September or the May?
The last event we had?
That was a September one.
Yep. Well, the night before I went to sleep, woke up, or I had a dream, and I didn't really know what to think of it. And I told, you know, and it involved the school, and I told Matt, and, you know, sure enough, we're at where we're at now because of what I seen in this dream. And it's like, okay, so that must have been a premonition. You know, I seen this happening, and then sure enough, after the event, later on down the line, it happened. And, you know, we're at where we're at now, so there's...
Most people will call it deja vu.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask if that's
Deja vu, premonitions, but...
It's pretty much the same thing. What I've noticed is some nights I will dream right before an investigation, and what I dream of is, like, for example, the building. I dreamt of this garage, but it was like a fake dream. It was about zombies, and I was running from these zombies, and I had to hide my sister under this old red antique car. Well, we were at this investigation, and I went to drive around town just to blow, like, you know, just to do whatever, to blow some time. And I had came across this garage with the red car in it. And it was the same doors, same windows, same car, everything. And it wasn't so much as like a deja vu, like I just remember this conversation. It was like I just saw this.
Interesting. I have a question about the structure of your organizations. Like, do you guys look for people to fill in certain like gaps? Like, we want a medium, we want a person that's a little bit more detective-ish, we want someone who's more of an empath. Are we looking for like someone like you, man? I'm assuming that has like a combination of multiple skills in that. Do you guys go out and try to find those people, or is it just you allow it to be organic?
Find them. It's that they kind of just happen.
Yeah, so it's more organic. You just allow it to.
You run
be.
into them pretty much.
Yeah.
All right. I didn't know if you just like, oh, we need a
Again,
empath.
synchronicities.
Yeah.
They show up when they're needed, so it's...
I dig that.
And you guys are kind of, it's a family thing, right?
This
Pretty
one
much.
pretty much is. Patrick and I used to work together, so that's when we decided to come up with the team.
Okay.
And yeah, and pretty much my family, pretty much, except for we had a couple more others are friends that we've actually investigated their houses before, and now they're actually on our team.
Okay, so what do extended relatives, do they believe in what you guys are doing, or do they think you're crazy, or?
All my family thinks I'm crazy. Besides my wife and my kids, my mom, my aunts, my uncles, yeah, they all think.
So
I'm
Thanksgiving is not a good time, basically.
Well,
Just don't talk about it.
yeah.
So-and-so's
Just don't
a
bring it
lawyer,
up.
and you're, yeah.
It always depends. I mean, they have to be brought into it and experience for themselves. Like when I met him, we've been married for a little over 2 years now. He is like, oh yeah, I've seen ghost hunters and all that, and the only experience I had was a pop bottle fell off a shelf. I don't
Like
know how.
I mentioned earlier.
That's all he said. Until we started bringing him out to these, then he goes, oh wait, something just flew across the room and it wasn't any of us. So it opened him up into more of the reality and
That's what I was
not being
talking
so
about.
skeptic about everything.
I was more open. You know, I was more on the brink than I was completely closed-minded. I wasn't completely closed-minded. I was more on that brink. And then I got to meet her, and we got to go out a few times, and it's like, okay, well, now I'm leaning more towards the open-mindedness of the aspect instead of the closed-minded, you know, because there is more out there. There's a lot of closed-minded people, and then we have our open-minded people, which are us here, and it's like, there is more out there. We just got to find the way to get people, you know, to prove it.
Experience it.
Yeah.
Do you often have friends that don't believe in, but they're curious, or anything like that? You've brought them with you, and you kind of changed them, maybe,
A little bit, yeah.
or not.
Yeah, the schoolhouse, you keep hearing us refer to the Manila Schoolhouse. There were several people that walked in those doors skeptics and ran out
Full believers.
So that's like where I'm at Like, I want to believe, but then I don't want anything bad to happen to me or my family. Like, we have 3 little kids at home, and I'm like, this is going to be so fun tonight, as long as we don't bring anything back with us.
Yeah.
She did say that when we got in
I
the
did,
car.
and I'm like, how do you protect yourself from that kind of, or what do you tell somebody like me that's like, but I just don't want anybody, like, jumping into my body
Maybe
or
just
whatever.
don't take anything, or I don't know.
Like, what would you
It's not
tell
so
me?
much they'll jump into your body.
Things to remember on that, when we're doing, use the energy from the phone, use the energy from the batteries. You do not have permission to touch me or use my energy at all.
Okay.
It's all about setting boundaries.
Yeah.
Or if you feel that something's in your house, just say you don't belong here, you're not welcome here, you need to leave. We always go to investigations blessed. We have blessed crosses and St. Michael's medallions. Honestly, you can walk into the bathroom at a truck stop and get an attachment.
Okay.
Walmart.
Walmart.
Really?
I mean,
Yeah.
it
The amount
just
of places you can
depends.
go
If
is
you
endless.
if you meet someone, say we have a little boy spirit that follows us. They're always attached to us. Always follows us, no matter what building we go into. Well, they can like you and go, oh, I really like this woman, or you bring your kids in. Oh, I really like the kids, and so it'll go home with you. But most of the times when things like that happen, it won't harm you.
Okay.
We just had an investigation last weekend, and there was a lot of cat noises, and that was a complaint. And turns out that after this investigation, we actually had this cat come home with us because I will hear it. We have cats ourselves, but I stay upstairs where cats don't go. Thing is, another teammate that was at this investigation, she's having the same exact experiences that we are. So it's kind of like a residual, but yet it's as if they had came home with us.
This was one I was not on.
But it's not bad. I mean, you can know it's a cat. Okay, you're going to rattle stuff in my office. But if things start happening where you get scratched, things start flying at you. I mean, that's when you pray, you do whatever you believe in,
Okay.
and just tell them it's your house, your rules.
That was
belong
going
here,
to
get
bring
out.
me back to what we were talking about before. Are you religious? Because I'm like, you're saying pray and stuff. So it's basically whatever your beliefs are.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. That's interesting.
We're religious, but I know there's a lot of stuff out there that's a mystery and can't
Right,
always
right.
be explained. So we've had. It's funny, the church we go to. Some pastors are like they believe in ghosts and things, and some
Still
are like
frown
they're-
upon it.
Yes,
Right,
exactly.
right.
I have an uncle and a great aunt. They're pastor and one's a big nun in the Catholic community. They don't want to know about it.
Yeah.
Right.
So my
I don't deny any of that stuff. Like I think there's so much out there, so much mystery.
I always like to say that I don't believe in ghosts, but if they're around me, please don't hurt me. I want to, sort of, but
It's kind of one of those, be careful what you wish for. type
yeah,
things.
like
Yeah,
I don't
pretty
want
much.
to welcome anything
We're very
harmful
cautious
into my life.
Yes.
But
When it comes to spirits and attachments, 9 times out of 10, if there's something there, like he was saying earlier, the off chance of it being demonic or evil is very slim. Most of them are just wanting to get your attention. It's like, hey, notice me. And they'll mess with your stuff. It's like, notice me.
And that's kind
throw
of
stuff.
a stigma that's attached with the industry is that when everybody throws the attachment word around, they automatically go to the negative side of things. It's got to be a negative attachment. No, it doesn't.
No.
I have attachments. They're my spirit guides. They follow me everywhere I go.
That's the thing. They can be absolutely positive attachments. If you're sad, they can always be there to lift you up. And it's like, okay, I know you're here. Help me get through this day. It's a great day. Make it a great day.
Sure.
And
The attachment can very well just be your grandmother.
Guardian angel.
Yeah.
Of course.
yeah.
my grandmother.
It's all a matter of perception, how people perceive things. I've
Right.
always told my kids that growing up. That's the one thing I've tried to pound into their heads. If you don't ever learn anything else I say, make sure you realize that perception is everything.
Yes.
If you come off a crappy person to a person, guess what? You're a crappy person because they perceive you that way.
And
Right.
probably for the rest of your life.
This concludes part 1. Join us for part 2 on the next The Super Unknown. Take care.